Hi everybody, thank you for watching our show here on YouTube. Remember, after you watch, remember to subscribe.
And to share.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello and welcome to today's Love Talk show with me, Helena.
And with me, James. Today we're talking about the following topic: help. I can't stand being alone. We know that at some point in our lives we're all going to be alone, right?
I feel a bit lonely for some reason.
I feel a little bit lonely, but it's normal for you to be single. It's normal for you not to be in a relationship for a while. Eventually, you start a relationship. The problem is when you can't stand being in your own company and you are desperately looking to be with someone, just anyone, that's when everything starts to go wrong.
Yeah, that's when people make poor decisions. That's when you get unnecessary luggage added to the one you already have.
That's right.
And it's a snowball recipe for disaster.
So that's what we're talking about today. Here's a quick peek at what's coming up on today's show.
On today's programme, we'll be answering some more of your love and relationship questions on Dear Love Talk. We'll be meeting actress Tessa Scola, this week's real life story. Tessa will be sharing her difficult and lonely experience with today's topic and will also be giving her personal advice as well for those of you who may be going through a similar situation. Do not miss this. Plus, we'll be speaking to one of our resident counsellors, Owen Redahan, who will be giving his take on this subject. What's more, on this week's 1 Minute Bulletin, the concept of a lifelong marriage is being questioned. On top of all of this, we have a fantastic Love Talk regulars to bring to you, including this week's trip for two, where Tapiwa and Yasmin are back at the Sozai Cooking School in London. And we'll be getting some more top tips when it comes to exercising with your partner from Jordan. So make sure you stay tuned. Back to you, James and Helena, for this week's Dear Love Talk.
Hello, welcome to Dear Love Talk, the part of the program where we love to hear from you. Get in touch, send us your questions to questions@lovetalkshow.tv or via our Facebook page. Let's go straight to the first question from someone who wanted to remain anonymous. And I think it's a she. She says, I've been in a relationship for 7 years with someone who is younger than me. I'm 54 and he's 29 years old. We get on really well, but at times we argue because he still wants to live a life of a single person. He likes to party, and I'm not really into that sort of thing. I sometimes doubt whether or what he gets up to in that party life, since I don't accompany him. But it reassures me that he does nothing wrong. How can I make our relationship better? To be honest with you, I don't know if you can. Because you have to be realistic that you may be just worlds apart. I mean, you're 54, he's 29, you have different priorities, and forgive me for being so honest, but perhaps at 54, you are now making some kind of plans for retirement. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. Most people, when they get to that age, they start thinking about retirement. Yeah. What am I going to do? How much money will I have saved up?
Settling down.
I should have hoped that people start thinking about settling down a lot earlier than that. But I think you have a huge difference in terms of your mentality, what you want out of life. You've had a run of 7 years. And I think you have to be honest with yourself. It may be that you're just worlds apart when it comes to priorities and what you want out of life.
And also, you are from different generations. This is important because being 30 years old, pardon me, being 30 at this time, it's like being 20 compared to a long time ago, if that makes sense. People who are 30 right now, they are not as mature as a 30-year-old of your generation, if that makes sense. So that makes it even more
And
complicated.
I think it's just that things have changed. You know, 30
Yeah.
years, a person of 30 years ago, some time ago, would be married, would have a home, would have settled down with kids. Now
Yeah.
people tend to prioritize
Career,
careers more,
fun,
and
and
it
all
takes a
these
lot more time to buy your first house, for example. So things have changed. And I think, unfortunately, we may have to accept that you are just too different. And I know that a lot of people say age is just a number. But in real life, that's not really true. Age makes a huge difference. And it's a decision you have to make. I know we always say this, but we can't decide things for you. However, it seems like things are pointing out to the obvious fact that you're just too different for the relationship to work, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed. Right, my question, it's from our seminars, Love Talk Live, someone who attends, and it says, after a great disappointment in my previous relationship and having now recovered from it, I am ready to move on. I have been single for 2 years and want to know what is the best way to get back into dating. Now, I'm pretty sure that in 2 years you had plenty of time to think about what happened, which is very good. I think it's a very healthy gap. And you can now know clearer what you want, what you're looking for. And I'm sure that it will be easier for you to find someone, because now it's not just anyone that will do, because you don't want this kind of relationship anymore, you want this. So the best thing to do really is to get yourself involved with groups in your community, things that you like. I don't know if you like sports. I mean, I would say that depending on your interests, you should try to mingle with people that have the same interests as you. For example, if you are someone quite reserved and you are very old-fashioned in a good way, you know, with your morals, you want to, marry, you don't want to keep dating. You want to choose someone and settle down, and then it might not be a good idea to look for someone in certain places where people just want to have fun, for example, and they don't care about commitment. So you need to target specific places where you can go to find people who are like-minded and want the same things in life.
Now, Elena has told you what you can do. Let me tell you what you should not do.
Good point.
Don't go and subscribe to 10 dating websites. Don't go and look for your future partner in a nightclub. Actually, there was a very interesting statistic we have said here on a previous show, that I think something like only 4% of people find their life partner at a nightclub. That's relatively low, so I wouldn't go down
take
that
chances.
route. Exactly. So, look for people who are already in your vicinity of people that you know. At work, like Elena said, in places that you already go to, family, friends.
Exactly, I was going to say that.
And don't worry about this thing of the dating scene. I have to get back into the dating scene. There's no scene. You don't need to, pick and choose like you're at a buffet. Oh, I need to try everything. You need one person, right? And if you, let me just end with this example. I dated someone before I met Elena. Right? When our relationship ended because it didn't work, I took some time to think about things, get my head straight. And then there wasn't really anyone that I saw, where I was and with people that I mingled, that I saw was good for me. So what I did is I spoke to a friend who knew some people in different countries and had other friends and so on. And I said, listen, do you think you can...
Do you know anyone?
Look around and find someone. And then a few weeks later, he came back and said, look, there's this girl, a friend of mine told me about this girl there in Portugal. I think you have something in common. Have a chat. And I said, okay, I'll try. And here we are today, 15 and a half years later, right? So I didn't have to be shooting in every direction, trying everything. All you need is to find one good effort, one person that perhaps can make a possible good partner for the future. So that's a good place to start.
Indeed, nothing else to add. And yeah.
So that's it for this week from Dear Love Talk. And if you want to get in touch with us, write to us to our email address, questions@lovetalkshow.tv, or also via our Facebook message. Send us a message on Facebook.
And remember to subscribe.
That's right. Until next time.
Okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I know that everyone says that when you're in a relationship with someone who's a lot younger or a lot older than you, age is just a number. But in reality, age does make a difference.
It does. Maybe it doesn't make it or seem to make a difference here and now, but as years go by, people change, energy levels change.
Mentality changes.
Mentality changes, I think, is one of the main ones. You don't want to be so active anymore. You are happy being at home or settling down with this or that. And the younger person wants to still go out there and do her thing. And
so be careful, all of you sort of romantics out there who say, oh, age is just a number. What matters is love. Love overcomes all things. You know, in real life, it works a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Now, here's Jenny Cortez Ibanez, our correspondent, with this week's 1 Minute News Bulletin.
Hello and welcome to this week's 1 Minute Bulletin. Couples are being advised to abandon the concept of marriage and replace it with 10-year contracts instead. It has been reported recently that some experts believe that it's more realistic to commit for a decade than a lifetime, and that this could prevent divorce. Unlike the traditional lifelong marriage commitment, those who choose a contract firstly plan their goals for their relationship and financial terms should their union end. The pair then reassess the future of the relationship as they reach the 10-year mark. The Independent article reads, official figures suggest that rates of divorce in the UK rise and reach a peak between the ages of 40 to 44 years old, around a decade after an average couple ties the knot. Dating experts argue that this new option prevents messy divorces by giving couples a chance to reevaluate their relationship. James and Helena, what are your thoughts on this? And that's all for this week's 1 Minute Bulletin. See you again next week.
Now, I think that's probably one of the saddest piece of news that I've heard in a long time, because it just shows you how cynical people are about marriage and about relationships in general, because
and lazy.
I think even before lazy, I think it's very sad to see that people
definitely
don't think that when you get married, you marry for life, because that's what we teach in this program. When you are together with someone, when you start a relationship, you don't do that for 10 years. If I was gonna marry you or be together with you for 10 years, I don't want that. I want to be with someone that I love for the rest of my life. And that just shows you how many people are starting to think now that perhaps for you to avoid the disappointment of divorce, then, you know, do several 10-year contracts over a period of your life. You'll be
it's sad.
5 different people. I don't know.
It's sad. I can so see this wedding marriage contract competing with mobile phone contracts. This one is shocking. Jenny, thank you for bringing this one up, because honestly, I don't even think many people make it to 10 years, to be honest. So I can see it competing with the mobile phone contract. I do.
And let's just say that whether this becomes a reality or not, because this may never happen, but it just gives you an idea of what people are thinking about. But if this even becomes a reality, please don't subscribe to this. Just because you've heard people breaking up and divorcing doesn't mean that has to be you. You can be the exception to the rule. Okay?
Indeed.
Now we're going to go for a break. When we come back, we'll be hearing from guest and actress in an interview we did with Tessa Scola, who, because of loneliness and different things in life, there was perhaps a point in her life where she struggled with being alone. She will tell us her experience and where she's at in her life right now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Did you know that our seminars are now on Thursdays? That's right. Every Thursday at 8 p.m., We are at Finsbury Park at the Rainbow Theatre here in London, and we want to help you to build a successful, long-standing relationship.
Indeed, you can also book an appointment to see us personally, and we're going to do everything we can to help you. And also, should you have any questions, please email us on questions@lovetalkshow.tv.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about I can't stand being alone. And this, when we have this kind of mind frame when it comes to relationships, it can lead to a lot of problems. And we have a guest on today who will tell us her experience with this. I want to introduce you all to Tessa Scola. Hi Tessa, how are you?
Oh, hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for being on the program. Now, Tessa, am I right in thinking that there was a point where you felt the need to be with someone all the time, and that led to problems? Tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Yes, I suppose, well, I've always felt lonely.
Right.
Maybe because I was a single child, an only child, with no brothers or sisters and no father, but a wonderful mother. And I also had a fairly solitary career.
Right.
But I'm also very outgoing. Very talkative, love to meet people, and I keep very active and very busy. That loneliness has sort of haunted me all my life. And so I never liked being alone, and I found myself going from one relationship to another.
Right.
Although it's difficult, you can't make anybody want to go out with you, but because I was traveling a lot and I met a lot of people, I was very, lucky to meet, to have different relationships. But of course, along with that came the problems that the loneliness, can cause.
Right. But do you think that, this loneliness prompted you to almost never want to be by yourself, and that maybe made you look for relationships when either you were not ready or that person wasn't ready, and that led you to problems? Do you think that happened a little bit?
I think it did. Also, I'm sort of very independent. I've had to be. And I don't mind some moments, some time on my own. I actually need it. But I think it's the validation of actually being alive and being me. And so when you don't have a huge amount of friends around you or family far away, I think everybody, we're not islands. You need a support, and you need somebody to say, look, you're doing okay, or you need somebody to bounce off. So
well, what kind of problems, for example, do you remember having because perhaps you went into a relationship when either you weren't ready or that person wasn't ready, or because you didn't want to be alone? What kind of problems did that cause?
Probably I was needy.
Right.
And also, which is sort of off-putting, because you do expect somebody to understand and try and give you that feedback and nurturing that you so want. And it was also, who is ever a whole person? But it's also really knowing yourself, and that makes you more a complete person. So when you're going into a relationship, but you haven't got to that stage, all that drama and baggage and the answers you need can't be given by by that person. You've got to go into a relationship as whole as you can be.
Right. Yes.
If that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. Like you said, well, this is how I see it. Some people, they expect the other person to make them happy, and the truth is that the person needs a different kind of happiness before they need that happiness from a man, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And no human being will make you happy as a whole, because it's impossible. It's unfair. It's too difficult. But Tessa, tell me something. How did you? Because I know you've had different relationships, but how did you cope with the loss of those relationships? Because being alone is hard, but being without the person, because probably some of them picked up on your insecurities or on your fear of being alone. How did you manage that?
Well, it was pretty damaging, but then I came back to myself as a figure of speech. So the first thing was that I had to be true to myself. I had to really look at myself and know that I was needy and know my faults and understand why. And I also did go to a counsellor. So the first thing was talking about it, realising it, and then talking about it, and then sharing it. And I had a wonderful counsellor who helped me look at myself without over-analysing or going on for months and months and months and months. It just helped, it gave me a sort of guideline in life. And so that was a sort of support network. You need some sort of support.
Right.
That helps you understand yourself.
Sure.
So Tessa, in your opinion, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think is harder? Because we have people watching us now who very much like the topic and think, oh, I'm in that situation as well. But what many people do is this: they let me jump from one to another because I don't like to be alone. They have their issues as well. But which one is worse? For the person to be looking for someone to spend time with, or to go through a breakup? Because as you said, it's highly damaging. I'm sorry to go on about this.
It's a good question.
But it's because this is a huge issue with many people these days. They have many unresolved problems within themselves.
So is the breakup worse, or is it being without someone worse?
Without someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Complete, what I would call a void and a darkness, and almost a sense of what is the point. So even though some of the relationships were upsetting and damaging, each time you do grow and you do learn. And I think eventually from that, because it's got to be our interaction with other people.
Right.
So you learn from those lessons, however painful.
Okay.
And I'm glad I went out to meet people, rather than the pain of being alone.
I think just two very quick questions first to finish, Tessa. Is it fair to say that you've learned that no one can solve a loneliness problem, because you can be with someone and still be lonely? Is that fair?
Let's see about this. You can't. No,
Can you be with someone and still be lonely?
You can, because I was married at one time to a man that I did love, but I was desperately lonely.
Right.
That was a different sort of loneliness, because in the end, it's somebody that just knows you, understands you, and cares.
Right.
And is kind. It's different. It might seem for some people on their own difficult to find that, but I think that if you begin to know yourself, you're gentle and tender with yourself. If you're going to meet somebody, you'll meet them. Whatever the outcome, you're growing, and it's to get that support system. Talk to somebody, and mainly have some sort of discipline where you go out and exercise, or you get out and walk, or you go to see an exhibition, but something which brings in the richer part of life, which is out there. The loneliness can really eradicate that, but that beauty and wonder is still out there. And if you can just reach out and just even every day, some moment that feels positive like that.
Right. And the final question is, where are you now, Tessa, in life? I mean, in terms of, have you overcome this loneliness? Do you still feel that need to be with someone all the time, or are you more sure of yourself? Has something changed in you?
Yeah, I'm more sure of myself because I've been very lucky that I actually met somebody on Match.com, and he is a wonderful man.
Right.
And so that has healed me a lot. When I'm apart from him, because we don't live together, I can still feel a little bit lost, but lost is different to the loneliness.
Right.
My goodness, this is why it's so important to talk about it, because I think there are so many lonely people out there, and people don't talk about it enough. Sometimes it's the generation in their 70s, 80s that feel alone, but sometimes it's, you know, I felt this loneliness through my 20s, 30s, 40s, and I'm now 56. But so I'm very lucky to have met somebody. But
counseling also helped you a great deal, didn't it, to help you understand why you were having all those emotions?
Tremendous. We just
Yes.
went back into my past, my family issues, not having a father. Again, this is, you know, my sort of life story, but again, it could relate to other people. In a very difficult career, I was a dancer and went around the world dancing, and it was lonely and it was tough, and I was in that male nightclub world, you know, that the different sort of world. But yes, the more you understand yourself, and do you ever, but the more you open up and the more that you talk to people, the more you learn, the more you can look at yourself, and then there's more of you to share with somebody else.
Right.
And that loneliness can ease, and you grow.
Thank you so much, Tessa.
Tessa, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Indeed.
And we hope we are really glad that you're in a great place right now, in a great relationship, and
We wish you all the best.
long may it continue. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a break right now. When we come back, we are going to see how people in the streets of London think about being lonely. I mean, do you ever get too lonely? Do you ever get to a point where perhaps you are too desperate for company? We'll also get to speak to resident counselor Owen Radahan about what he has to say about this topic. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We just heard Tessa with her story. I think she was really brave to talk about the whole issue of feeling lonely, because I agree with what she said. Many people they don't like to talk about this, and it's a sad reality. You know, I think people, in order to resolve this kind of issue, they need to go deep into the problem and bring it out so that they can. It's in the open.
Yeah.
Talk to someone who can help you and
So
then overcome it.
we're talking about this particular topic,
Yeah.
help. I can't stand being alone. And this is for those people out there who just need to be in a relationship. I remember someone one day told me, listen, I'm very depressed, but I know that if I find someone, my depression will go. It won't. Right? Being with someone doesn't cure depression. Depression, you need to deal with that issue by itself, and then you can move in to going into a relationship. So think about that.
You know, I know we're going to leave this for later, our tips on how people can overcome this problem, but indeed, there's no human being that can fulfill that empty space that we have. You know, it's a deep issue, and yeah, let's see what the program brings.
That's right. So we'll go to this advice a little bit later. Now, we went to the streets of London to see what people think about this topic. I can't stand being alone. Let's see. I'm actually quite interested to hear what people say about this.
So, are you the type that jumps from one relationship straight to another, or has that ever happened to you, or know anybody that is like that?
Yeah, I have like short-term relationships, so I used to go from one to another.
Why do you think you did that?
Because maybe I think she's not the right one, or she think I'm not the right one, I guess.
And would you not be willing to kind of give yourself a break, or was it just a choice? Or
I don't choose. It comes when it comes. I think the best thing to do is not look for it, and it comes naturally. It comes automatically, I think.
That's not me.
Definitely.
No.
We know some people that are like that, but no, not me.
I think I like being in a relationship, but then once you're out of one, the thought of jumping straight to another one, that's just not for me. I think you need to have time in between to like collect yourself, and you might have changed from being in that relationship, and I don't think it's healthy personally to jump from one to the other.
And it's not by force, especially like in this day and age, like we were saying, like you can like be talking to multiple people or be like intimate with other people, so I don't feel like you have to kind of be commit yourself like 100%, which is, it could be a bad thing, but I think it's also a good thing at the same time. If you don't want anything serious, then it's like you can be with other people and talk to multiple people at the same time without feeling completely alone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree.
why do you think people have trouble being alone or single these days?
These days, because I think the world we're living in is really individual, and everyone think about themselves first, or about their career, or about their success first.
I think there's a lot of pressure through like social media. Everyone's got this great relationship, holidays, presents, and I think everyone kind of wants that, and it's nice to be able to show people like, yeah, I'm really happy, I've got everything, and I think that is maybe why a lot of people do that.
Yeah, you do get wrapped up in it. I think like for a while I was like, yeah, I really want a boyfriend just because of like everything that you see. But no, you don't need one. You don't actually need one. Like it's okay to like just find yourself before finding someone else.
And I think having a relationship is almost a sign of that you're progressing in life and you're becoming that adult, and like we know a lot of people that are engaged and having kids, and I'm thinking, oh my god, am I like really young in comparison? But so it does make you feel a bit like that's a step to becoming that proper adult by having that relationship, I think.
Are you happy to be, single, if or would you have to have a girlfriend at this point?
Being single doesn't mean especially being lonely. You can be with someone and feel lonely as well.
It's lonely.
Yeah, it's a lonely life out here.
Well, if you don't have like the right friends around you, I think you can become very lonely. Like if you have good friends and positive people, like you're always busy doing stuff, then you don't really like care about it so much. But
all your friends are in a relationship and you're the only one that's not, that must be very lonely.
You said you had something to say about this one?
Oh no, only because you said about being alone. Yeah, I don't like being alone, but not in the respect that I feel the need for a relationship, but I'm just a person that likes being surrounded by other people.
Likes to be with us all the time.
Yeah, definitely. It's a klingaroma.
And for those watching who can't stand being alone and always wanting to be in a relationship, what would your advice be for them?
I think it's a good feeling to need attention. I think it's good to need someone, to have someone around, feel existing, existing, I guess.
Get out that relationship. You need to find yourself. If you have to be in a relationship, you're obviously not happy with who you are yourself. So I would say get out of that relationship, go find yourself, do some fun things, go out with your friends. You don't need a relationship.
There's nothing better, no greater love than self-love, right?
Yeah.
So once you're okay with yourself, then you're not going to need anybody else.
Anyone else's love is just a plus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know how sincere those people were.
But we seem to have a mixture
Yeah,
of opinions there.
yeah.
And most of them just seem to go with the flow,
Yeah.
If the relationships happen, different relationships one after the other, they happen. If they don't, they don't. But I think people underestimate the importance of taking time to think. Right? If a
being
relationship,
alone.
if a relationship didn't work, then take some time to think why it didn't work and learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, silence is good, for you to disconnect a little bit and see what's going on and where you are heading and all this kind of thing. Because if you always have distractions around you, people and even friends, you cannot find time to think.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
be careful. If you feel the need to constantly go from one relationship to another for never being alone, then something's not right there, and you're not giving yourself the time to think where you went wrong, or maybe you didn't do anything wrong, but something went wrong with the relationship. Maybe you weren't ready, the person wasn't ready, and you're just not giving yourself time to think about what went wrong. So learn to do that. That's important. I think that's a very important step.
it is. Well, a while ago I caught up with Owen Redham to talk specifically about this topic. Let's see what he thinks about this. Hi everyone, I'm joined by Owen Redham, our resident therapist and also counselor on Love Talk Show. And I have a few questions for him today, and shall we start? Because I always have many questions for you.
You do, it gets very intriguing. What are we on today?
So today we want to talk about, we want to find out ways and understand also people who they come out of a relationship and they have the need, they feel the need to always run to another relationship, and then from that one to another. Basically, they can't stand being alone for a short period of time.
Yeah.
To figure things out, they are always.
Yeah, in fact, if we look at it in a slightly wider context, there are some people who can't stand being alone. Even if they aren't in a relationship, they have to have friends around them, they have to have family around them, and those can be tied in with issues around self-esteem. For people who have a concern about or a need to be in a relationship all the time. And that can be, a lot of people would tend to think that it's women need to be in a relationship, but there are actually a lot of guys
as well.
who do need so as well. And that can tie in with a number of reasons. First of all, there could be an addiction to it. So there's the excitement, the thrill, the dopamine hits that you get of meeting somebody new, and it's all new and it's exciting and it's fun and it's everything like that. And then after a couple of months, it begins to be a little bit of the samey, and he or she isn't doing quite what you want them to do, and then you get a bit bored with it, and then you're longing for the excitement of a new relationship, so you break up with them, and then you go and find somebody new. Now, with internet dating, actually that makes it very, very easy. So all you have to do is go online again.
Dating, also apps.
Apps,
Out there,
everything.
all
I
these
use that
things.
in the wider sense, absolutely, Elena. It's electronic searching, shall we call it. So it is very easy to go through and find somebody, oh, I like her, I like him, and then to tick your box and they reply and you start talking and it's all new and it's exciting, and then you go and date, and yeah, he's great or he isn't great. If he isn't great, then you go back home, you go online again and you find somebody else. So it's all very, very easy. It's all very exciting, and it's also what's called the lottery effect. So it's this, I might win, I might get somebody new, I might get somebody even better. And so there's a lot of adrenaline going, and there's a lot of dopamine hits to make you feel good. So that's the sort of addiction side of it. And people have great difficulty in recognizing that. It is a particular challenge to recognize that actually you're living your life for your relationship potentials rather than living your life and having a relationship, right? Then there are other people who have very poor self-esteem. So they have to have somebody by their side to justify how they feel about themselves, so I now feel better because I have a woman by my side, or I now feel better if you're a woman because I've got a guy by my side, and I can show my friends and I can show off and look, I am attractive, I am witty, I am a great person because I can attract a mate. And those tend to be the two main reasons. The third reason would be just, I'm frightened of being alone. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be in a flat and have nobody there and that silence. And that comes from our lifestyles, which are all quite frantic. Doing stuff, being in the office, seeing people, communicating, various social medias, all of that stuff is go, 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 go.
Exactly. There's very little silence in our lives.
Very little silence. And then
to
when
even
you
think
get home
about
to
your
a flat,
life, isn't it?
Well, it also becomes frightening then, because you go back to your flat and you're sort of sat there and you're not doing anything, and you think, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing anything? Rather than actually saying, well, this is time to recharge. This is time for me to relax, to
And think.
Absolutely. But a lot of us now are frightened of thinking. We have to be constantly doing something, and that's another type of person.
It's
who wants to be in
another
a
kind of
relationship.
addiction that we'll leave for another day.
Well, addiction or being frightened.
Oh, nice.
It's being frightened, and that's where I've got to have somebody in my life to deal with the quiet periods.
So, Owen, let's say that I'm watching this interview at home and I'm listening to what you're saying, and I've identified one of the causes of as to why I do this. What can I do to help myself and change my life? I mean, settle down. What would you say I should be doing?
Well, you've already taken the first step. You realise that you've got a problem, and you realise that you need to find a solution. So talking to friends, maybe going to a therapist and working it out is the best way to go forward.
All right, thank you very much. And that's it from us here. Let's go back to the studio. A big thank you to our resident counsellor, Owen Redahan, for his points, very valuable points there.
Something we hadn't covered and we hadn't even planned to speak about here was the point he made about it becomes almost like an addiction, right? To always have someone there, and even especially with the internet thing and with Tinder and all these dating apps where you can constantly talk to someone. If you're alone, you can go online and immediately you're talking to someone, and the next hour you can be talking to someone different, completely different. And that becomes almost like a hit, like your daily hit. Be careful that this does not become something that controls your life. So I think this point of the addiction is a very interesting point as well.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sure that people watching can identify, you know, in a way or another, what might be the cause to their loneliness or to them wanting to be in a relationship all the time.
That's right. Now, after the break, you'll get to see what we think about this topic. And usually there's a much deeper issue as to why a person can't stand being alone. So hopefully that will help you. I think that will be the most important part of this program. We'll also get to see this week's Trip for Two. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello YouTubers and everyone following us on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to share our programs with your friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all our new programs coming out every week.
And also let us know what you think of the topics. Leave your comments. Welcome back. Today we're talking about help. I cannot stand being alone. And we are, you know, delving into this topic and trying to come up with some reasons why. And you know, you've seen our counselors' advice and also our guests talking on reasons why people find it so necessary to be going from one relationship to another, and then they never resolve.
Constantly being with someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So one of the things Tessa said was that, you know, one of the positive things to do, one of the good things to do is to keep healthy and fit. So let's take a look at our Fitness for Two for this week.
Hello, welcome to Fitness for Two. My name's Jordan, I'm here with Priscilla and Eric, and we're down on the mats today because we're going to be doing the dreaded the plank. And they're looking forward to it, you can tell, right? Like, we're not going to do it. And at home, we hope you're going to join us and look forward to it too. But remember, please check with your doctor if you are suffering from any medical condition or if you have a physical injury before you do any exercise. But for us, we're going to get started. So we're just going to do a little bit of a warm-up, guys, on our spine, just to make sure that we're prepared for the plank. So taking the arm up like we've done before on one side, the other hand down, and just going over the side nice and easy. There we go, and like a fluid motion doing the other side. Oh, it's all too relaxing to be doing the plank today, isn't it? And then walking those fingers forward, creeping them forward, dropping your head. Feeling that in your hips as you push your hips away, make sure they're connected to the ground. And then walking your fingers back, taking them behind you as you open up your chest and look up to the sky. Have a light, see luminary. All right, and then we're just going to rotate our spine now. So one hand on the opposite knee, just rotating round. Remember, taking it from the base of the spine first, very important. And then back to neutral, switching sides. And just look over your shoulder. Great. Now, we hope you're ready for this at home. Remember, plank is amazing for your core. It's really good for strength, but it's quite difficult. We're going to be doing the hover version of plank. And the reason being is that it's easier on your wrists. You're using your forearms. So we're going down, keeping those elbows in line with the shoulders, and you can either put your fists together. Coming up, you want to keep your butt down, your spine in a line, and you want to activate your core. You will feel that straight away in your core. A lot of people struggle here because they tend to hold their breath. Don't hold your breath. Keep breathing as normally as possible. As long as you're not talking, it's quite easy. I'm talking. Imagine that you're just going for a walk in the park. This usually helps with plank. It's quite hard, isn't it? How are you doing, guys? See if you can come up in full plank, back down into hover, up on the other side. We're doing quite well. Oh, down we go. Now, if you do find that it's quite difficult, lower to your knees. There we go, and just stay there, but don't do it the other way around. Make sure that you're up in the plank position first before you go down to your knees. Ease off for a second. Shake those shoulders. We're going to go back down into plank. Yeah, that was just for a second. I meant just for a second. Come on, back down we go, into hover. Again, establish that position, get that butt down, keep that spine in a line. Remember that if you want to go down your knees, you can. Keep the butt down a little bit, Priscilla. That's it. Take your arm forward in a circle now. But remember, your hips need to be square. As you can hear from my voice, this is a lot more challenging. Oh, but you can feel it working straight away, like you're gonna have abs of steel. Right, I'm gonna just call it a day for me, but these two still have one more to do. Okay, this is the partner exercise that you guys at home need to do. Back into plank position. You can go on your knees, so if you feel more comfortable on your knees, consider do that, but keep your butt down. And as you can see, opposite arms forward, keeping the hips square, really important. You're doing a great job there, Eric. Just keep the hips square. I think I'm gonna let them off now. So lower to your tummies, lower to your tummies, we're gonna do a back extension. Because we've done quite a bit of core work, we're just gonna counteract that. So taking your arms in like right angle squares, that's it. Keep your legs down if you can and just raising up the chest. Keeping your legs down. Perfect. I literally do think that these two are going to have a little sleep now. So hopefully you've enjoyed that at home and felt the action in your tummy. We'll see you next time on Fitness for Two. Bye.
Well, that was Jordan, Eric and Priscilla with this week's Fitness for Two, with some core exercises there to keep you strong and
The much
healthy.
loved plank.
Much loved, hated plank for
Wow.
many people. Now, here's what we think about today's topic, and we're going to go into the real issue here. Without a doubt, no one wants to be alone, but something that needs to be considered before we desperately look for someone to stick around with us is to ask ourselves whether we are good company or not.
This is not something people usually even consider, believe it or not. What really matters for most people is that someone is cozying up to them, but they rarely check they are good company. They rarely.
That's right. Being desperate to be with someone or just anyone will more often than not lead us to the wrong kind of relationships. Usually, these tend to be unhealthy and destructive because all you wanted is just to have someone there next to you. So you didn't really find out if this person was the right person for you or not.
So here's something important that everyone needs to check before looking for the right partner. Ensure that you are at peace with yourself and you have plenty to offer.
We're not teaching you here to be big-headed or anything like that, but we should be pretty pleased with what we have to offer as a potential partner. We need to think that whoever will come into our lives as a future husband or wife will be hitting the jackpot by being with us, because we are pretty special and have quite a lot to give. Remember that.
Yeah, you know, if you really have that inside of you, that's what you will portray. You know, to illustrate this, I'm going to speak about one of James's favorite things, cars. Yeah, cars, you know, cars. No one dreams of buying the cheapest car of the market. People aspire to the most desirable, which also is usually the most expensive. Yet no one complains that these cars are expensive. People just happily part with their cash for something they are proud to show off to their friends and family.
This should be the exact same principle when it comes to relationships. You should be so desirable that the right person will do everything they can to be with you. We're not talking about physical desirability here. Although it's important to look after our appearance, we have to have a lot more to bring to the table when you come to be in a relationship.
I agree, especially inner peace. Inner peace, you know, when you are at peace with yourself. So while no one likes to be alone, as long as you are in that transitory situation, don't worry. Just invest in being someone. The right person will do everything he or she can to be around you.
Now this week we're back at the Sozai Cooking School and we'll see what Tapio and Yasmin got up to in this week's Trip for Two.
Hi guys and welcome to Trip for Two. I'm Yasmin
And I'm Tapiwa.
and today we're back here at Sozai Cooking School and we have the lovely Izzy. Hello.
Yes, so
Welcome back.
thank you so much for having us, Izzy. And
Pleasure.
last week we, could you tell us what we made last week, Izzy?
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
it
you
was
made
amazing.
Inside Out. It's called uramaki. Beautifully, pretty
Oh.
colours.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yummy
it
as
was-
well.
Tasty too.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun making it last week and it tasted really delicious. So today we're actually going to be making a new dish. What are we going to be making today, please, Izzy?
Oh yes, you're gonna make big giant roll. So you're gonna use this nori seaweed this way.
Wow.
Big one. More filling inside.
Nice, nice.
Shall I show you?
Oh
Ready?
yes, please.
Yeah? Sushi is food for your eyes as well. So shiny side down and the rough side up.
Okay.
But you are placing nori this way. Long, portrait way. Yep. Sticky rice with wet hand. A handful of rice on nori. Spreading the rice. You found it quite therapeutic, wasn't it?
Oh yes, it actually was. It was nice, relaxing, and
So I'm placing that rice on nori seeds, except 3 fingers of rice reeds on my finger.
Okay.
Maybe 2.5 fingers of yours.
Okay.
And a nice and spread it evenly. Wasabi line coming on this rice. What about 2 lines this time?
Okay.
And this is gonna be quite funky looking sushi. So be creative yourself.
Okay.
I'm gonna use this different color side. Don't be afraid of using the ingredients what you fancy, and something like that. Something red. And this is kampyo. It's a vegetable. Gourd. Have you seen gourd? The vegetable.
I haven't seen it before. Maybe I've
Gourd.
seen it, but not.
Yeah, gourd is a long-looking aubergine shape vegetable, shredded and white, but marinated with soy sauce and mirin.
Okay.
Yeah, rich in fiber, really good for you.
Okay.
And we have got another sweet ingredients in futomaki, which is tofu. Tofu deep fried and marinated, nice and sweet.
Okay.
Rice futomaki is the fillings inside, and the rice equally even around.
Okay.
Yeah. You're in a competition later.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So I'm picking up some skills because I
Yeah.
think the boys are gonna win this week.
Oh.
Again, but
Okay. I'm using my thumb underneath the bamboo mat,
okay.
and all of the fingers are on the ingredients. Lift it up, tuck everything in safely, and then now this edge of the bamboo mat meeting the end of rice, giving a nice hug. And now you are not rolling in the bamboo mat. You need to open a little bit, then continue roll. Yes. So, big futomaki giant roll. Shall I show you how to cut?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. Dip in a knife in a wet water and let the water run down. Cut this edge off. And the edge is off. And these 3 parts you can cut 3 pieces. I'm going to cut this side off. And you could cut the straight or a little bit diagonal. Challenging, not too sharp. You might lose your roll, so just leave this high.
Wow.
Futomaki.
Wow, this looks so pretty.
So let's try to make.
Yes. Ready.
The challenge is on.
Yes.
Let's go.
Well, I could so have a bite
And they seem to be getting better. We've had them doing a few challenges there at the Sozai Cooking School, and this week they did the futomaki, and they're getting better. So maybe one day we'll have them cooking some sushi for us here in the studio.
Good idea. Anyway, next week is competition time, as the final challenge will be set before we find out who has won the Trip for Two challenges overall for 2016. Will it be the girls or the boys? I know the answer.
Unfortunately, I have a feeling I know where this is going.
No, you don't have a feeling, you know.
I have a feeling. It's not confirmed yet. Let's see. Now, we want to thank you for joining us on this week's program. Hopefully, it was of some help if you're going through something similar or someone you know is going through something similar to what we've discussed here today. I also want to thank our guests, Owen Redihan and Tessa Scola.
And should you want to talk to someone about what you're going through, perhaps you are in the same situation as Tessa used to be, where you feel that emptiness inside and you have inner issues that you want help with, please get in touch. Email us again, like we said, at questions@lovetalkshow.tv, and we will personally talk to you.
That's right. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all the social media outlets that we are in: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us there as well, okay? Until next time, thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we're gonna go for a break. When we come back, we'll be hearing from guest and actress here, not here, sorry.
Well, a while ago, I caught up with Owen Redihan, our
resident counselor.
So according to Tessa, and very well said, one of the things people can do, it doesn't resolve the issue, but it helps if they stay healthy and active. Now let's watch Trip for Two for this week.
Fitness for Two. So that was Jordan, Eric, and Priscilla with this week's not exercise for two, Trip for Two. Not Trip for Two either, Fitness for Two.
Ensure that you are at peace.
Now this week we're back at the Sozai Cooking School, and we'll see what Tapiwa and Yasmin got up to in... Now this week we're back at the
At the Cockles.
Kogai Sozing School. Sorry.
And that's all for this week's 1 Minute Bulletin. Join a guest. Hello and welcome to this week's 1 Minute Bulletin. Couples are bid.
Hi guys, and welcome to Trip for Two, and today we're back here at Sozai Cooking School. Last week Hi guys, welcome to Trip for Two, and I'm Yasmin.
And I'm Tapiwa.
And today we're here with Hi guys, and welcome to Trip for Two. I'm Yasmin.
And I'm Tapiwa.
And today we're here at Sozai Cooking School with Izzy. Hi. Hi. Oh my God.
And that's all for today's Love Talk show. Be sure to tune in next week to learn more on how to love intelligently.